So yesterday your documentary Home Games was screened here at the Danyliw Research Seminar on Contemporary Ukraine. I was wondering if you could speak a little more generally about what you think your documentary says about contemporary Ukraine.
I think Home Games is a very social documentary which differentiates itself from the current trend because, as you know, many events have occurred in Ukraine in the past 5 years, from the revolution in Maidan to the ongoing war in Donbass. And of course, those wounds in the society are hot topics for filmmakers, and you have lots of films dealing with the consequences of the revolution, of the war. And Alisa Kovalenko, the filmmaker, had made her previous film, which was shown at Danyliw last year, about the war in Ukraine. And this time she wanted to focus on other kind of struggles inside the Ukrainian society. And in times of war, of heroism, of survival, the society tends to forget those very little people, the working class heroes who have their very own daily struggle to survive. And in this sense, it's very social films about little people living in the suburbs of Kiev, about 3 generations of women who are striving to find their way in the society and to have a decent life.
And then picking up on the discussion about women, I think the point was made yesterday that virtually all the characters are female in the film. And I noticed that particularly Alina comes across as a very strong kind of non-traditional woman. And I was wondering if you think that's typical of women in Ukraine today.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the main characters of the film are women, except 2 men in the film, but who are a little bit fading away from the picture. In the film, we have a main hero, Alina, 20 years old, who is one of the best football players of her generation, female football players of her generation in Ukraine. And we film her after her mother dies, leaving her with a complete collapsing family, with 2 little brothers and sisters who have to go to school, with a sick grandma. And we follow during 2 years this challenge in the life of Alina. And yes, she's not typical in the sense that she comes from a dysfunctional family, poor family. She plays football. She has dreams of emancipating and making a career, but we also film her together with her partner. She's a girl who loves girls. There are lesbians in Ukraine as in any other country, but we also wanted to show it in a very gentle way. We didn't want to make to underline a very hot LGBT topic in this film, but we wanted to show in a very tactful way that today in Ukraine it's possible that 2 young women who are 20 years old live together without considering being part of the LGBT community, and eventually decide to move together and to raise children together. And in this sense, the LGBT topic in this film is not written with big letters, but we wanted to make a sort of political statement by depicting the situation with a sense of normality.
Of course. And then also another point that I think you actually made yesterday was that Alina herself doesn't have very much education, but I did notice watching the film that there was a scene where there seemed to be an emphasis on education where the kids were at school. And I was wondering if you thought that was kind of a statement of how education might have the potential to help people rise from difficult circumstances.
Yes, definitely. Alina, who is now 22 years old after we finished the film, she didn't stay long at school, and I cannot say that she had a strong intellectual formation training, but she's an intelligent woman, and she's someone who has a very strong inner strength to face the problems she encounters in her life. But she's also someone who has understood that after generations of difficulties during the Soviet times, during the post-Soviet time in Ukraine, she can give chances to her brother and sister that she didn't have. herself. And she bets that education can be something which will give them a safer life than she has. So she's wishing for her brother and sister, who actually become her children, her own children during the film. She wishes for them something she didn't get, and she's ready to sacrifice her own dreams and her own career to give them this chance in the future.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for screening your documentary here.
Thank you a lot.
I think it shows us really a lot about the theme of hope.
Thanks a lot.